Hi, I'm Tyler with the Craft Beer Connoisseurs, and before this episode begins, I just wanted to provide you with a little information on who we are and how you can stay updated on all of our content. This podcast was created to showcase craft breweries and indulge in interesting conversations. We want to help promote a variety of breweries and along the way have conversations ranging from sports to beer and beer to just about anything. Please feel free to follow us on Instagram at Craft Beer Cons, send a friend request on Untapped, or subscribe on YouTube at Craft Beer Connoisseurs. Also, drop a comment, like, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Now stay tuned for today's episode. Welcome to Craft Beer Connoisseurs. I'm Tyler.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Brett, and along with us today is producer Quinten.
Quinten.
Yeah, he's here.
So in today's episode, we'll be reviewing Redline Brewhouse in Barrie, Ontario.
Yeah, and we will be trying two of their beers today. The first one is Clutch, which is an American Pale Ale, and the second is called Scenic Route, which is a Vermont IPA.
And to finish up the episode, we're going to talk about all things cars. Vroom, vroom. Let's get her going.
All right, and we're back. We're going to toss this into first gear here. So as previously mentioned, Redline Brewhouse, which I think is the first one that we've actually done, called a Brewhouse on this podcast. I don't think we've had any other brewhouses.
Interesting look back.
Yeah,
we'll have to look back.
Right, yeah, is located in Barrie, Ontario, as previously mentioned. Now, they were established in 2015, so they've been around the scene for a little bit now. And that is actually noted within their logo, and their logo is pretty interesting. Maybe we'll get down and talk about that a little bit later on.
Yes, so if you guys want some craft beer and high gear, well, you can get it at 431 Bayview Drive, Unit 8 and 9 in Barrie, as mentioned. And it's a family-owned and operated brewery. So it's a dream of the patriarch Doug Williams with his children Devin and Darcy, who is the marketing manager and actually supplied the beers for today's episode.
Yeah.
Plus other beers as well.
Yes, above and beyond.
Went above and beyond it. You love to see it.
It's true. So big thanks to Darcy for that. And so the brewery in their beers, they use high quality ingredients from North America, Europe, New Zealand, and Australia. So they're going global to get all of their ingredients. And their brewing style is rooted in Belgian and American schools of thought. So kind of like I'd almost say like an old school with Belgian stuff, and then like a new school with American stuff.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So they love to balance their beer between both classic and traditional, while also pushing themselves outside the box as well, right? Which you love to see from breweries when they do go outside the box.
Yeah, like here's kind of what we are going to focus on, the core style, and then still have a little bit of different nuances. So I have never been there. I know that producer Quinten has.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, I have been there a long, long time ago, pre-podcast, pre-Untapped, pre a lot of things. But I have been there once, yes.
2015, perhaps?
Great experience. Great experience I've had. 2016, actually, not 2016.
Yep.
And I haven't been there either. So Quinten is kind of giving us some details about where it's located and kind of thing. So it's kind of like in the strip mall type. We see some breweries are like kind of industrialized, and some are in like the strip mall type thing. So that's kind of where they are, and it's pretty wide open where you can see all the brewing equipment from the tap room and everything like that. He has given us some pictures. It looks actually like a really nice brewery.
It's a very nice brewery. Very nice.
So I think one of the concepts that you get with a lot of these craft breweries is that they are brewing beer to leave a memory with the consumer. So as we're kind of going through this and reading some of the notes from Quinten, you can tell that they succeeded in their ability to do that because, he went there for his birthday, which was a memory, I'm sure, of itself, but had several beers throughout that day. And
that would make the memory a little foggy, if you will.
Well, no, I was just going to say,
or hazy.
Even after having several beers, he still has that memory that's been left with him.
Right.
So that's pretty nice to see that they're really focused on the consumer, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and one thing I really like about what they do when we were looking into this episode, looking at their website and everything, they actually go into a lot of detail on their website about how to brew beer, basically, and the process that they use. Obviously, it's pretty standard throughout breweries, but just kind of explaining the different steps, the 4 main ingredients, which we all know are barley, hops, water, and yeast, and just
Good job.
I didn't screw that one up. Yeah. So they kind of explain all that, which is awesome, because I know, like, when you go on a tour at a brewery, they kind of will explain that to you. And right now we're not able to do tours, so you can almost do like your own virtual tour if you want.
Yes. For sure. So just in terms of the couple beers I've had from there before, their main one that I've had in the past that I really, really enjoy is the Moonlight on Chrome, which is an India Session Ale. Lovely peach flavor coming through it in terms of a New England style session. And there's another one as well, which is quite nice. And it's called the Speed Wobble as well. And you'll find both those in the LCBOs. Again, it's more of a malty New England IPA, but still has that strong flavor there as well.
Nice. So again, you can kind of see with the naming convention of those beers there that the brewery name, its products, is all automotive theme. So everything kind of comes through that. The family loves anything with a motor. And so they are the definition of gearheads. You see that in the logo as well, with the little shifter knob in the Redline Brewhouse logo. And again, this theme inside of the brewery, as Producer Quinten's kind of labeled out, is they do have on one side of their bar, they've got some awards that they have there. They have this nice side bar top with barrels underneath. So they've really kind of made this whole atmosphere along this whole automotive theme, which is really nice to see how it gets kind of brought in together.
You got to love the barrels when you go into a brew house, so to speak, right? It means kind of like they kind of like to age some stuff, but they also know what they're doing in general. And in terms of kind of what they've done in terms of other breweries as well, they've pivoted during COVID and also started making hand sanitizer.
Right.
Yep. So you love to see them kind of give back, especially when we were in dire times back last year. Obviously, things are starting to look up and up, but still, if there's some hand sanitizer, why not go out and get theirs?
Yeah, it's nice that they went ahead and they started switching their operation a little bit. Maybe beer sales were a little bit down at the beginning of things, and hand sanitizer was the way to go. Now, Chris, I think there's one more point that maybe we should mention there, and you've kind of talked about some of these other ones, so maybe I'll let you lead into it there.
Yeah, perfect. So they are involved in a community initiative, which, again, like you mentioned, we've seen a lot of breweries do, and their initiative supports what's called Finding Them Homes, which is supporting dogs. It's an organization that, basically, as it kind of sounds like, helps find dogs homes. And so they've raised money for that organization through hat sales. So,
yeah, and
pretty good.
We're going to notice, I think, a little bit later on, too, when we're reviewing one of the beers, some of the other ways that they had a different way of promoting and looking at it. So
yes, and one of the other ways that they promote it, I know it's a little bit different, but when the third lockdown happened in April, they are actually one of the only breweries who publicly announced how much money they lost throughout it. So they actually publicly posted on Instagram. They got over almost 8,000 views on their actual post about how much money they lost, and it was over $10,000 just because of the actual lockdowns in general, which is something that, I mean, you don't want to see for any brewery, but they were the only brewery who really went out publicly and announced that how much money was they were losing.
So I guess that just kind of leads into the fact that, you know what, this is kind of why we do the podcast as well, is to really support local, support the breweries out there in any way you can, because they're also out there supporting other organizations as well. So, maybe we should probably get into the first beer here shortly. What do you guys think?
Yeah, we'll make sure that we link their information on our social media so that you can check out their site, check out their beers, and support them.
Definitely. We definitely recommend picking up some of their beers. And gentlemen, let's start our engines. It's time for the first beer.
All right, we're shifting into second gear here. Before we kind of get started with the first beer, second gear, if you will, we want to thank Darcy again for supplying the beers today. Yes, we got a little bit extra, and we thank you for that.
A couple extra. So, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So the beers are actually listed in 3 different categories on their website. So there's a core, a specialty, and then the pulled over. So that's important to note with this because the first beer that we're having is called Clutch. Now, Clutch is part of the core series. It's an American pale ale. And I like how they kind of list it on the website. So with giving the ABVs and the IBUs and some of the ingredients, they classify it as the under the hood.
Nice.
So it's a 4.8% ABV and a 42 IBUs. Just for a note here, the producer has had this one on tap in a flight. So we're hoping that we can see maybe a similar rating, just consistency out of the beer. And there might be some fluctuations with that when we get down there soon.
Yeah, we'll see what Quinten thinks of it. Clutch is described as pouring a hazy straw color, and it's topped with a creamy white head. When they brew it, they use a large dose of flaked oats, which provide a luscious and soft mouthfeel. So interesting.
Sounds good. It
sounds really good, yeah. And they hop it generously with Centennial, Citra, Amarillo, and Mandarina Bavaria. So 4 different hops, and it bursts with flavors of orange peel, grapefruit, peaches, and pine.
Well, Chris, I'm glad you didn't stall the clutch in terms of saying Mandarina Bavaria. So this beer definitely does come with a load of dry hops that are used at the end of the fermentation for lush aromas, for that fresh tropical fruit, pine, and citrus feel. The beer comes off both soft and aggressive at the same time, or as, so they say this beer comes off.
Right.
Guess we're going to find out and be the judge of that, right? So we are on Untappd. You can follow us at Craft Beer Connoisseurs. The overall rating for Clutch is 3.67 bottle caps out of the 5. And this has got a total of 5,566 check-ins. The last time I looked at it, subject to change. So
some people have had this.
Yes.
It's pretty high, yeah.
Yes.
And that's the thing is this does fall into that core. Okay, so this is one of those core beers. So, glass in hand, can in the other hand. Let's open her up. Ooh, a little bit of a backsplash there.
Yes.
I will go ahead.
You wanted to jump in.
We are drinking Clutch out of a pint glass, so make sure to use your proper glassware.
I was just going to say that being one of their core beers, this is one that can mostly be available in most LCBOs. Not all of them, obviously, but a lot of the bigger LCBOs, you will find some Clutch there.
Well, I will say it certainly hits on the fact that they said that it has a creamy white head. I definitely get that. And it's hanging around for quite a while, to be honest.
I was going to say, did you pour it to make it have a bit of a head on her?
Not
I certainly
really.
did. I certainly did.
Did you?
Yeah. It's for the picture, right? It's just all optics at this point.
It's for the gram, as they say.
It looks really nice.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's definitely sticking there. At least a solid inch, I would say, of a creamy mouth head for sure.
Yeah, good retention on it. I've got about 2 fingers from the top. Again, looks like a traditional kind of a pale ale. It's not completely translucent, but at the same time, it's not completely hazy either, right? So a nice kind of, I don't know, like that kind of cornflakey yellow, if you will.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm kind of jealous of producer Quinten here because he's had this on tap before. I know he only had it in a flight, but it'd be interesting to see if that head retention had stayed if it was being poured out of the tap.
Right. Smaller taster cup, or glass, you'd probably assume that it wouldn't, but yeah. So I don't know if there's really anything you guys want to kind of discuss on it. What about anything on the nose? Anything you guys can smell on the nose?
I mean, I'm getting a lot of that tropical fruit flavor that they mentioned. It smells really, really nice.
That Citra hop.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh yeah, that's coming through strong here.
Yep. All right. Let's stop looking at it. Let's start tasting it.
The best part about the whole thing, tasting the beers.
Right.
That goes down nice, eh?
Yeah, just kind of letting it sit a little bit there. Yeah. I don't know exactly where I'm just trying to let the flavors, because there's a lot of different flavors coming in on this, right?
Yeah, it kind of hits me at first with a little bit of bitterness,
Right.
and then kind of follows with some of that, like I said, tropical fruit, and then a little bit of pine on the back end.
No, I definitely agree. Like, it's definitely bitter off the hop. No pun intended there, eh? But you definitely do get that tropical fruit coming in. And then that pine at the back end is just a nice kind of refreshing finish, I find.
Yeah, I think, Chris, the way you described it is spot on. It's that bitter, citrus, pine kind of 1, 2, 3. That's first sip. And I did try to get a little bit of that head in there as well with the first sip, because it was lingering around.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to get in here for another sip just to see if that's kind of how she tastes as we kind of go through here.
Yes, indeed. So the can, as I kind of pointed out earlier, you might see this in some of your LCBOs. It's a pretty basic can, just kind of the logo, big font in terms of the clutch. Nice green and red, almost like a Christmas kind of style. It is one of those. It's basic, but at the same time, when you are in the LCBO, it will definitely stand out in terms of a beer that you will see.
Yeah, I think it's they did a good job with kind of making sure that there's good high contrast with the clutch lettering on there, because if not, it would get lost in the green of the can as well. So, I think you will be able to see this one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Why don't we talk about the top 5 flavor profiles? So maybe we'll just kind of go one by one on this.
Yep.
So the first one is hoppy, which I don't know. I get that. I think the bitterness at the beginning kind of contributes to that, but I'm not sure it's number one.
Right. I would agree, and Producer Quinten saying the same sort of thing. I think dropping that down to maybe a 4, probably even a 5.
Yeah. And number 2 is citrusy.
Yeah.
I definitely get citrus out of it.
I'd put that more number 1 in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be definitely for me as well. Number 3 is light, which, I mean, it's light maybe in the sense of, like, if you're comparing it to other pale ales, but if you were to compare it with, like, a lager, for example, it's not light.
Right. Just a brief time out here, Brett. I think you got a little bit of head retention on your mustache there on your right side, big guy. There it is.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe is because I was taking so they have different styles of cans.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd take another look at the can yeah, right?
Yeah.
I know. It's almost like I have like 2 eyes right now. Amazing.
That's good. I just looked over. I was like, this head retention's hanging around for sure.
Yes.
And it's not going to be in the glass.
No wonder I said the head retention was hanging around, because it was hanging on my mustache.
It was.
Saving it for later. So number 4 on the list is smooth, which I definitely agree with, because we talked about already how this is a smooth beer, goes down nice and smooth.
Absolutely.
And finally, number 5, which I would put a little higher, is tropical.
Yeah, we already kind of talked about that with the citrus, right? So like citrusy, tropical, kind of all blends together a little bit. So
kind of 1A, 1B kind of deal, right?
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, let's move this along a little bit. Let's see what the Untapped user thoughts are on this beer.
Yes, so I have the first one, and it's from Heather M, and her username is Brewtastic Times. And again, any Untapped comment that we use on the podcast, you'll get an automatic follow from us. On April 10th, said, had to purchase this one once again, solely for the pup on the front of the can. Good for you, Redline, for supporting finding them homes and donating money to this great cause. So going back to the actual can, I know I talked about the can a little bit earlier, but there is kind of specific cans that have goodest pups on it. Okay? So, for example, the Untapped comment that we see had a dog named Milkshake, which was a 2-year-old female that was a husky mix. And they were actually available for adoption as well. So they were promoting the fact that you could adopt milkshake from finding them homes and hopefully bring them into your home. And as I always say, adopt, don't shop.
Yeah. So this goes along with that, the Finding Them Homes initiative. They had findingthemhomes.com was their website. And this was going on early on this year. And so I don't think that it's on the cans now, but I do believe when they had this initiative going on, they did run it that way. So
yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
And it's funny, Tyler, you and I were talking about this before, like, when I saw a milkshake, I was like, "Oh, is this a milkshake IPA?" Like,
just funny how it happened.
Great name for a dog, though.
It would have fit perfectly if it was a milkshake IPA.
Sure.
All right,
Brett, you did say 3.5 out of 5, right?
Yes.
Nice.
It was rated a 3.5 out of 5.
Perfect.
Nice. All right. So the next rating comes from Sebastian S. Handle is Halloween Jack, and they commented on October 13th. Nose is grassy and lemony. Palate is the same with a finish of banana and a bit of clove. So I don't think any of us got any of those flavors. It's possible Sebastian was drinking a wheat beer. Possibly the
sounds like
catching some haze. A little bit of a mix up there for Sebastian. I think.
I feel as though Sebastian was a little hazy while checking in this beer. Wasn't sure exactly what to check in.
Yeah, I know. So looking at the picture that he posted, it is undecided exactly what kind of beer it was because it was in a Flying Monkeys glass, but it was purchased in Toronto. So
we'll didn't have the can in the picture.
There's no can, so we don't know.
Sebastian did give it a 3.5 out of 5.
All right, so let's get our ratings started here. So I'm going to give it a 3.25.
All right, I'm going to give it a 3.75. It's definitely not the best pale ale I've had, but it's a really nice pale ale.
For sure.
So I don't agree with Sebastian in terms of the whole grassy lemony. I feel as though he's definitely mixed up. But in terms of the rating, I definitely do agree with that. So I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5. And also our producer, Quinten, also gives it a 3.5, which is the same as the taster he had when he was at the brewery.
All right.
Nice.
So if we do a little bit of quick math on this one, thanks for coming in fast with this. Nice pit crew. That is going to give us a 3.5 overall as a team score.
Nice. Well, we're on to the second lap. Beer number 2 is up next. All right, so we're shifting into third gear here as we try the second beer, which is Scenic Route, which is a Vermont IPA. So looking under the hood of this beer, it has an ABV of 6% and has 41 IBUs.
Nice. So many car puns. Good God.
It's awesome.
Anyway, so this is a refreshing, juicy flavor that's very unique and incredibly drinkable. So it's inspired by one of the most sought-after IPA styles. As you may know, the Scenic Route pours a hazy, luminous orange color with a fluffy white head, and hopefully we get to see that shortly.
Yep.
Aromatically, it has an intense bouquet of tropical citrus and stone fruits. Not in a bouquet style in terms of flowers, but in terms of the aroma, hopefully it smells quite nice.
The infamous stone fruits.
Gotta love that stone fruit.
Yep.
And it does have a well-balanced medley of ripe mango, juicy orange, and fresh grapefruit flavor that welcomely coats the palate, finishing with a pleasantly smooth bitterness.
I hope so.
Nice.
If it lives up to that, we're going to be in for a nice beer here.
This is going to be a lovely beer if it lives up to all that.
Right. So they also then label this as it's kind of more on the soft side in mouthfeel with a bright gold color, the hazy, cloudy appearance on the eyes. So a very traditional Vermont IPA, hazy IPA. We kind of touched base on this in a producer special, so I won't linger on anymore with the definition of the hazy IPAs. The hop flavor with this and the aroma is slightly dense and the bitterness is dialed back somewhat. So that's how they've defined it, allowing for kind of this balance between the malt character that plays its role strongly without stealing the spotlight from the hops that they note. So so it's going to be interesting to see this kind of balance, whether it's a little bit of a tug of war or if it is just kind of balanced throughout our sips.
Mm-hmm. All right. So looking at Untapped, this beer has just 31 check-ins, but it was released just a couple weeks ago. So understandable. And it does have an average rating of 3.8 bottle caps out of 5.
Nice.
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah. Me too. All right. So let's grab that can and grab that glass and let's... Oh, wait a second here. Finger slip.
A little slippery.
A little slip. Had it out of the fridge. Let's open her up.
Some would say you were just shifting gears there a second.
So, yeah, maybe my clutch slipped again.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are drinking the Scenic Route out of an IPA glass, so make sure to use your proper glassware. Now, luckily, our producer Quinten has a second IPA glass because I believe recently his IPA glass was broken.
Ooh, tragic events.
Yes.
It is a tragic event.
Yes. R.I.P. Producer Quinten's IPA glass.
Yeah.
His girlfriend ruined it.
I wasn't gonna put the blame on her, but Brett, I just left.
I'm not gonna mention the girlfriend's name, but she ruined it.
All right. Before we cause any future domestic, let's take a look at the beer itself. So again, traditional hazy kind of IPA. You can't see through it. You put your hand in the back. You can't see anything through it unless you're near that bottom portion of the glass, because you get that kind of shortened up glass as it kind of bells itself out. Head retention sticking around. I've got, again, about 2 fingers worth. And it's already starting to lace itself down as it depletes in the head category.
Interesting.
That's what I've got so far.
Hey,
look.
That's very interesting. In terms of my can, I'm only sitting about maybe a half a finger to a full finger in terms of head retention.
Yep.
Again, could just be the way we poured it. Who knows? But I definitely like, again, nice color to it. The aromas, as strongly as that what they suggested are there. So I'm looking forward to getting to tasting this one shortly.
Yeah,
Chris, do you have anything you want to talk about? Yeah.
No, I'm definitely getting the aromas of like that grapefruit that they mentioned. So I am a big grapefruit fan, so I am looking forward to that. I know, Brett, you're not a huge grapefruit fan, but
yeah, but what about that stone fruit?
What?
Stone fruit? Let me tell you.
So on the nose,
Being the farmer I am.
Yeah.
On the nose, I'm getting that grapefruit and a little bit of mango. They mentioned the mango as the first fruit in that kind of description. So I hope it kind of takes a little bit of more of a front seat instead of the back seat. But I do get, I'm getting both. And I don't know if that's just myself. I don't know if you're smelling that mango at all, either of you two.
Yeah, a little bit. And usually mango's like a little bit, it's more of a subtle smell and flavor than like a grapefruit. So, yeah.
This isn't a band episode. Keep your grapefruit away. We got to be careful. Not too many laughter during this second beer here. Yes. Okay, we're going to make it the job harder for the producer. To pick our wave sound bites. So we want to make sure he's.
Let's make it extremely difficult on his end.
No laughing, fellas.
Yes.
Well, should we taste this one?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too.
I think it's about time.
Let's do it.
All right, let's go into it. Oh, okay. Different than what I expected, but a good different.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely different. It's more bitter than I would expect from a New England IPA. It's more. It's certainly not as bitter as you would get from an American IPA, like a West Coast, but I would say it's halfway there.
Must be Vermont versus getting your hops from Maine or Massachusetts, eh?
Could
right.
be.
It's not far enough east.
Exactly.
Different breeze coming in from the coast. As it sits, I am getting that mango a little bit. It's not overpowering, but it is there. I can see where you're coming in with the bitterness portion. Grapefruit a little bit. I think it is balanced. Like, I do find this fairly balanced in its flavors, that it's not like, boom, here's one, here's another one. It's very much, here's some mango, here's some grapefruit. Nothing's kind of overpowering the flavor profile.
It is definitely a fine balance. I'm getting a little bit mango on the front end, and then it balances out with that grapefruit. And on the back end, that's where the bitterness comes in terms of what I'm feeling off this beer. It's a good beer, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, so producer Quinten would agree with me, and nobody wanted to say it, but I'll say it. I'm looking at what he's typing, and quote verbatim here. As Tyler mentioned previously, I would put balance in here. Oh, now he's typing some more stuff. I don't know. I got no time for that. Let's get to the top 5 flavor profiles.
He was just on a scenic drive.
That's what it was.
God dang it.
Looking out the window, has his head out there like Milkshake probably does with hopefully their new homeowners, and just enjoying a scenic drive in the Scenic Route. So, number 1 flavor profile, citrusy. Do we concur?
I would. You know what? I'm kind of yeah. You know what? I'll give it number 1.
I would say not number 1 for me. I would put it in the top 5, but not number 1.
All right. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I'm maybe probably thinking it's a little bit down, maybe a 2-3. Mm-hmm. Speaking of 2, juicy. I think you can get away with it, right?
Who doesn't like a juicy New England, Vermont, Maine, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, wherever you are up that way, IPA, right?
Yep.
Who doesn't like a juicy IPA? Personally, yeah. Juicy definitely is involved with the top 5.
It's definitely hitting on that, yeah.
Right. 3, pineapple.
I'm a little lost. I'm not getting any pineapple here.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we replace that with mango?
Yeah.
I throw that in there.
I would kind of, flip those in and out. Hazy as a flavor profile. It tastes very hazy.
Taste and very much looks hazy.
Yeah.
It definitely is, yeah.
And then 5, dank.
So I struggle with this whenever I see it because I don't really know exactly how to describe dank. To me, dank is like you're getting a ton of hop flavor, and I'm not necessarily.
Okay. So have you guys ever been on, like, let's say if you're on a winding road, it's a sunny, breezy day, right?
Mm-hmm. Take me on this adventure.
That's what the can looks like.
Yes.
Right? So, if you were to see this in the brewery, it's Brewhouse, not brewery, Brewhouse.
What about number 5, dank, Fife? We're on the flavor profile.
Well, you know what? If I were on a Scenic Route drive, I would not think this is dank, personally.
Yeah.
I'm not getting the dankness out of this. I'm feeling the juiciness and the citrus and the mango, but not as much dankness as what I would expect.
All right, get into your can conversation.
Yes. So anyway, back to the most important part, the can. As Tyler is literally shaking his head because he's in the back seat riding in the middle because he's not riding shotgun or driving. No. So if you're riding a scenic road, like a winding road, sunlight, you're going to see the Redline Brewhouse can or logo in the sun. It's, again, if you were to see this, it's a can label you will not miss. It's something that you're going to be like, okay, maybe a New England IPA isn't your favorite style, but because of the logo on the can, you're definitely going to pick one up.
The can definitely looks nice, and it certainly hits on the name of the beer for sure.
And while you're, on your Scenic Route, obviously you're gonna, if you're not driving, gonna scroll through your phone. And if you're craft beer connoisseurs like ourselves, you're gonna look at Untappd. And there's thoughts from Untappd users, and I believe Chris has the first one.
Yeah, the first one is from Brad M. His handle is Murdoch B, and on May 30th said, a lot of care went into this beer. Huge mouth feels, creamy, and a great flavor profile. And Brad gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
Wow.
That's a higher enough rating, for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I've got the second one. So Connor F, handle Barley Waters, on May 23rd commented, Mike O said it himself. It's a junior double clutch baby emoji. So there's a little baby emoji in there, okay? Full of flavor and made with love, this thing takes you to different pockets of Flavor Town with all great views. And nice. Connor gave it a 4 out of 5. Very painting a picture, much like Brett does when he describes cans.
Yes.
Storyteller, man. Storyteller.
All right. Well, I will get us started with our reviews. I think out of 5, I'm giving this one, I'm going to be at 3.75 again for this beer as well.
Okay. I'm going to be a little bit higher than you. Not too much higher, but a little bit. as I'm trying to paint a picture, just because Tyler is trying to get his picture painted, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
All right. And so for myself, I'm not going to paint a picture. I just get right to the point. It's going to be a 3.75. And for producer Quinten, he's going to give it a 3.5. So, Chris, what do we got for that?
Well, that's a nice, even mathematic equation for Quinten. It's giving us 3.75, right on the nose.
Nice.
Well, boys, the race has ended, and that's all of our conversation on Redline Brewhouse.
So coming up next, we'll be talking about our car experiences. All right, and we're back. So, Redline Brewhouse is all about cars and gears. So, we thought, you know what, maybe it'd be best if we kind of talk about our experiences with our vehicles, our memories, what our parents had, if there's anything that kind of relates to cars. So we're going to talk about that. But before we get there, I want to give a big shout out to a friend of mine who started a YouTube channel as well as an Instagram. Give him a look, check him out. He is a car guy through and through, Sean McCoy, and you can find him on YouTube or on Instagram. The handle is Automophiliac. So AUTOMOPHILIAC. Automophiliac. He is a great guy. Check him out. So
I'm sure we can put that on our social media for people who don't have a pen and paper at the time to.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't like it's a 50 millimeter old movie. You can actually click the back 15 seconds and rewrite it out. But I get it. I understand where you're going with it. So
just making it easy for the people.
So let's kind of go through each question one by one in a relatively decent order. Let's go Brett, Chris, Quinten, myself. How about that? Brett, let's talk about your first car. First car you had. What do you have?
So the first vehicle I had was I built 2004, 2005. I don't know. Pontiac, Montana.
Nice.
It was a van.
Nice. Yep.
Oh yeah. It was a great vehicle to get you from point A to point B in terms of high school parties. Let me tell you. It put 6 people in the vehicle, so everybody was really excited for it. When I got it, it had about 350,000 kilometers on it. So it had been driven pretty hard, let me tell you.
Couple cams.
Yep. Couple cams. The AC didn't work. The windows didn't work. But again, the engine worked.
It was your vehicle.
It
was a vehicle you had.
Yes. But the first vehicle I purchased on my own was a Kia Forte. I'm not going to get into my experience with a Kia Forte because I don't want to blast them. Yeah. But it was not good. Let's just go with that.
Everybody has different experiences with different companies. Yeah.
100%.
Chris, hit us.
My first car is actually the same car that I drive now, which is a 2011 Chevy Cruze. I didn't have a car in high school, didn't have a car in university. So after I got my first job after university, bought my first car, and no complaints really with it. It's 10 years old now, so.
Let me guess. You relied on Tyler to drive you around.
Tyler was not shy to volunteer to drive anyone around. Let's put it that way.
That's true. I was a nice guy like that for sure. So, producer Quinten had the first car. I believe it was parents' kind of car to drive was a Chrysler Intrepid. And then the first car that he purchased is a Hyundai Tucson, I believe. So that's his kind of. Yes. So sticking with kind of with like the Hyundai kind of thing, how do they do it? I'll tell you how they do it, but I'll get there in a second.
Is it called 0% financing?
That's how they do it. That's got to be one of the ways. So going back to my very first car, my dad helped me purchase this when I was actually 15, and it was right before my birthday, before I turned 16. It was a 1994 Ford Mustang, red, just a V6. It was enough power for me, but not too much power that it would blow me into the ditch. And that car was an absolute beauty. I had that thing for about 7 years. And let me tell you, there's nothing like it when you have your learner's permit, G1, you're sitting there in the driver's seat. Your dad's sitting beside you, and you're trying to pick up chicks in this red Ford Mustang. Like, hey, yeah, check out my car. Yeah, that's my dad. What of it, you know? And so that was the first car I had. I then went into a Jeep. And then now I've got a 2017 Hyundai Sonata plug-in hybrid. But just before we continue, that Ford Mustang was my high school and university car. And the memories that were made inside that car, I guess, were good memories.
That was a great car.
It was a fun time.
It's true. The one memory I do have in terms of your vehicle there, Tyler, was riding with yourself and producer Quinten to a Jays game. Mm-hmm. The day after I went to sleep at like 5 a.m. And I had to crunch my knees almost near my head because the back seat of that car was not very forgiving to a 6'2", 230-pound adult man.
But I'll tell you, there was one time we were going to, I believe, watch his producer Quinten's sister and a girl I was
that's weird.
Kind of interested in play fastball, and it was a ball tournament, and so I picked producer Quinten up. And we were going about, we were in Mexico, just for all intents and purposes. we were going about 150, 160 to 180 because we wanted to make first pitch. And we were, listen, it was in Mexico, so it's completely legal.
Right. Has the statute of limitations passed on that one?
In Mexico, it's fine. It was completely in Mexico, but we were flying. I think that thing was, if it didn't have there was no spoiler on it, but it should have because we're not grounded. But we should move on from that.
The best part is you probably made first pitch, and there were 7 fans in attendance.
There was, and we were 2 of them, and I ended up, getting the girl for 8 months. But anyways, so we talked about where we drive now. Any accidents? Brett, do you have any accidents? Have you had any accidents? Maybe any mishaps?
Nope, just you changing my flat tire.
How many times?
Twice.
Yeah.
Fun story about this.
Yeah,
fun story. And Tyler knows about this exclusively. Is that the one time, I can't remember where we were the night before, but I was driving home in my, Saturn Relay or whatever the hell it was. And I got a flat tire and I phoned Tyler because I knew I was he just dropped me off.
We're coming back from Guelph.
Yeah, Guelph. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, Tyler had a flat tire. So then I called my dad as well. So myself and my dad and Tyler meet at the same location. And then myself and my dad both watched Tyler change the flat tire.
And it was 4 degrees out. I'm in a white undershirt, just freezing my ass off. These 2 guys are watching me scrape my knuckles, get this thing up on a jag. I'm like, thanks, guys.
So then the other time that it happened was actually the day before my wedding.
Yep.
And so Tyler had kind of previewed me in terms of his speech for my wedding, in terms of I'm going to talk about your flat tire, when I change, blah, 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 right? So then I actually got a flat tire in my wife's car. So who else could I phone? But
this sucker
didn't phone Ghostbusters. I phoned Tyler.
Nice.
And he came out. So we took a picture of it, and it was great. But it was just kind of turned ironic in terms of his speech at my wedding. It was kind of funny.
Chris,
so funny enough, I do have a story as well about Tyler helping me out with my car. But first, I have been in an accident. My Cruise, about 2 months after I bought it or something like that, I got rear-ended. So brutal. But
did you rear-end somebody one time too?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
He wasn't hazy during that time. Don't worry.
No.
Good.
But at the beginning of COVID, I basically, last March, I stopped driving my car. And then I tried to drive it in May of 2020 and it wouldn't start. So had to call up Tyler with the booster cables to come help me boost my car, except my car was parked front into the garage. So we had to put it in neutral, push it out of the garage, turn it around so it could actually connect the cables. It was an experience, but we got it boosted.
Yep.
Let's just say, for any problems that you have with your vehicle, call Tyler.
Yeah, let's go back to episode 3 where I believe you guys were calling me a name and we had to bleep it out. I don't think that runs true. Now it's starting to come clear. Producer Quinten says that you sideswiped a pole backing out of a driveway one time, but no other actions. I guess he was the driver and sideswiped the bull. I mean, the bull should have been standing there. I don't know what the hell the bull was
bulls
doing.
just jump out of nowhere.
I will also say I've carpooled with Producer Quinten many times.
Yep.
And I don't know if you guys know Producer Quinten's dad, but man, does he drive slow.
Well, I think that's because previous lead foot incidents when he was younger might take a little bit easy on the gas. But yeah, so for myself, I have a couple of different instances. One time I was at a red light and I got backed into by a guy that had a suitcase full of beers in his truck.
So naturally, you shared a 2-4 with you.
I wish actually the police didn't come to me. I had to go to the police station with the other guy, drive there. The police officer after it was all said and done was like, "So do you think he was drinking?" Yeah, I do actually. Thanks. The other time we were in Windsor and there was a basketball championship on or something like that. I parked outside another guy's house. They backed over their lawn into my car. While I wasn't there, came back. I thought my door was unlocked or somebody broke in. Wasn't. Somebody just backed into it. I went and got 2 cafe mochas, and I staked outside that guy's house from about 11 at night to 7 in the morning, and it was minus 15 degrees out in the dead of winter, and I had an exam at 8:30 the next morning. Waited for them to come home and confronted them about it. But is what it is.
Mostly because there is nothing better to do in Windsor than that, right?
No, I had a vendetta, so
Yeah.
it is what it is.
The one, like my favorite memory in terms of motor vehicles is my father and I were driving back from Owen Sound the one day, and it was in his 1995 Chevrolet Lumina van. I was about 10. The AC didn't work. The windows didn't work. Nothing
sounds
worked.
like a lot of your vehicles. 600 kilometers, 600,000 kilometers on it.
And nothing worked except for the engine that could get us from point A to point B. So when there was no vehicle coming, my dad would actually open the door so that there could be a breeze come through because it was like plus 35. Just like yeah. Yep. It was the most ridiculous thing you could possibly think. I was 9. And I was like, oh, this is how you drive with the door open while you have one hand on the wheel.
All right. Rapid fire before we finish this segment up. Brett, future car, dream car, do you have anything?
Jeep Wrangler, 100%. Okay. I had one in BC. Yeah, I need that.
Nice. Chris?
All right, I like the sports sedan, so I'm going either Kia Stinger or nice. a Alfa Romeo Giulia.
Ooh. Perfect. Producer Quinten says, not a huge car guy, but future vehicles would look at something like a truck. Again, some of the drives doesn't make sense. However, transporting things, the practicability of it is great. For myself, I, again, want to kind of go with the full green. I know that the Ford F-150 has a Lightning, full electric coming out sometime, but I'd still go with like a Tesla, Cybertruck, or again, I don't know, maybe the Roadster. It's just something fun. So
I remember when you wanted to get into a Mini, and I remember when Producer Quinten wanted a Caravan. So you guys should just get that.
The Mini is electrified, although again the practicability of it is it's only about 200 kilometers. So we'll stick with the Tesla just to alleviate some of that range anxiety. We're gonna be right back. Put your car in neutral, hang tight, and we'll be right back with our goodbyes. All right, you can come into the old championship row here, and that's going to be it for today's episode.
Thank you for listening. Keep on listening every other Thursday as Craft Beer Connoisseurs releases a new episode, and on our off Thursdays for a producer special.
Make sure to tell your friends, family, and your favorite driver to get you from point A to point B.
So from all of us and Producer Quinten, I'm Tyler.
I'm Brett.
And I'm Chris, and together we're the Craft Beer Connoisseurs.